over the rainbow, bluebirds fly.
Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly, and dreams really do come true. I took this picture in New York City, and this little girl playing in the rainbow was wearing those sparkly ruby slippers, just like the ones in the movie. So we call that Ruby Slipper Rainbow. So this is one of my favorite selfies. You got Toto in there. Always follow dreams as dreams always fly, as I like to say. They say there's something to writing your dreams down. And in my junior year of high school in creative writing class, we were given the assignment to write a one-page autobiography. And the last line of my autobiography said this: I'm taking photography and communications until I get out of high school, though. I've got just one thing to say. Save a place for me in New York City. Now, how would I have known at the time? It's interesting, that lens flare. See that? Point right at the Empire State Building, the center of the record. That I would actually end up with an exhibit at the Empire State Building. But that's exactly what happened.
Hi, welcome to the Empire State Building, right this way.
In 2002, I had an exhibit in the lobby of the Empire State Building, displaying to people from all walks of life in many different nations. It was a remarkable experience. And Jimmy, the elevator operator, the words in the clouds are what he actually said about the exhibit.
Thank you for sharing your work. You've inspired thousands of people who came from all over the world to see the sparkling inspiration that you showed by your artwork. That means a lot to me. At last, you gave the character to the city. You're part of the structure of the city. And it's a monumental creation in an eternal moment.
Remember that eternal moment, because I think that relates to some of the things you were talking about, this being All Hallows Eve, in connection with people that have maybe passed on, but still influence the physical world. So what's also interesting is I took this picture when I took my godfather up to show him the exhibit. We parked on 33rd Street, got out of the car, and I just took that picture as we were walking up to the building. Ended up using it to promote the exhibit when I brought it back to Canton. We displayed it at the North Canton Library, at the little art gallery there. And I just found it so interesting how that line runs right over that. The organization, the one organization whose mission is about eradicating poverty in the world, their headquarters used to be on I Street in Washington, D.C. So this is one of the photos that was in the exhibit. And there were 5 different themes in the exhibit, and I'm not going to share all that tonight, but I wanted to share this one because it was an interactive thing. I had one window that was just dedicated to blurry images and just asking people what they see. And people have seen thousands. I've never heard the end of it. Every time I do a presentation, someone says something completely different that I've never heard before. So we'll go around the room and ask everybody what they see. How about you?
To me, it looks like somebody's wrapped in a blanket.
Someone wrapped in a blanket. Sharon, you've probably said before, but...
I get a lady that's kind of curled up and she's laying on the ground.
Yeah, okay. What's your name?
Tink Tink.
Tink Tink.
Yeah.
And what do you see?
It kind of looks like a pumpkin with a wig, with a smile.
A pumpkin with a wig?
And a smile.
Cool, I like that. Jack-o'-lantern for Halloween. Ron?
It's like somebody's kneeling down and praying.
Someone kneeling down and praying? Okay. Matt?
I see a hairy dog looking at us.
A hairy dog? Yeah?
Shaggy.
Was that what you were going to say? Leah was going to say a dog too?
So we were right, dude.
Yeah. And Mom,
I don't know, I see a roll of toilet paper.
a roll of toilet paper?
But I like the pumpkin thing, what she said.
Yeah.
I see the face now.
And actually, you're not the only one who said, someone actually said, somebody in New York when I was asking people said a wad of toilet paper and a snow sled, in fact. So,
I would actually say, from what I see in the middle, what looks like a rabbit's face.
a rabbit's face?
As
I
I
haven't
see
heard
these.
that one yet, see? Always something new.
Wow.
And you?
Oh, I have to go with the one. It looked like a Muslim.
What's that?
It looked like a Muslim praying
A Muslim praying?
at the Muslim synagogue.
Okay.
And she said it's a feather with it. It looked like a feather with it.
Say what?
A bird feather.
A bird feather?
Yeah.
Okay. So you see how many different perceptions we've had of the same image. You know, everyone does see things differently. That's what makes us all alike. That was the message. I really wanted to say something positive about how we see the world and how our differences really connect us. So it's interesting that I've literally heard, you know, thousands of different things, everything from parachute out of the back of a dragster, a rose, an eagle, a tumbleweed, a storm, a bride and groom in a wedding night rolling on the floor with a bottle of champagne beside them.
See a ghost too.
Yeah, a ghost, and some people say angel, some people say demon, but dog is the most common thing said. If you ask a room of 10 people, often you'll have about 4 dogs. We had 2 over here.
So what is it really?
So, well, I just say that it's perception. And what's interesting is that it's a blur, and it could have been perceived as a mistake, thrown away and never looked at again. But it became a very important photo. And that's true of like everything in life. I think that's the real lesson. So, in remembering and thinking about how we see things differently, we have to reflect on Christina Barquette. Christina, does anybody know Christina?
I do.
Did you know Christina, Sharon? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Christina, unfortunately, passed away on a motorcycle accident a few years ago. But she was a very dear friend of mine, and we went on a lot of photo hikes together and things, and even into New York City. And there was a thing that another photographer had started, why do you do what you do? And people would write down on a piece of paper and pose for a portrait. And she says, to give hope and support, which she always did for me. So I want to share this poem that she left us with, Only Truth, by Christina Barquette. Assumptions, perceptions, happenings, when you can only guess, not truly knowing, the other's feelings, true thoughts, you come up with a perception. What you think it to be, when all along it could turn out to be something completely different. Communicate how you truly feel. Know the answer. No assumptions, perceptions, only truth. By Christina Barquette. So Christina was scared of heights, but we went to New York City and she braved her fear to go up on top of the Empire State Building. She wouldn't look over the edge, but she made it to the top. And this is in the elevator. You see the expression like going up. Oh! And we made it to the top. And she met this other woman who had also braved her fear. Neither one of them would look over the edge, but they posed for this triumphant, pose together. And the thing that I find interesting is that this woman has kind of like that peach-colored hair. Okay, something interesting about that because Christina ended up becoming a cast member in the touring production of James and the Giant Peach. And of course, where did James land the giant peach? On top of the Empire State Building. So this picture was actually taken on top of the Empire State Building in a cloud. Kind of like you're standing on top of the giant peach. I actually had this scripture displayed in the exhibit at the Empire State Building in James 1:17. And with this question, what if heaven was here and we didn't recognize it because we were too busy building our own complex worlds on top of it?
That's how I feel. That's how I feel.
Do you? Yeah, no, really, yeah. That's, yeah.
100%.
But when you can become aware of the beauty of life, it can still be blissful, and to see that beauty in everything, even in the things that we create, of course. But yes, we create a lot of stress for ourselves, and we forget that this is a remarkable world that we live in. So, yeah, that's how I see things. So, the day that I actually scheduled the exhibit at the Empire State Building, this was Jennifer Valdez, and she worked at the information desk in the lobby there at the time, and I was talking with her. I called her the most famous unknown girl in the world, right? That's how many people talked to her but didn't know who she was. But I got to know her a little bit. So I asked her what kind of pictures she liked, and she said she liked pictures of flowers. And she told me about these flowers done by the New York City Public Library. Wanting to do, to give her a gift, I went down there to photograph these flowers. And ended up taking this picture, which ended up being part of the exhibit, called Towers and Flowers. And this is, the New York City Public Library here. Remember that 40th and 6th is known as Nikola Tesla Corner. Okay?
He would not be happy.
Nikola Tesla actually had his laboratory there, and he was often feeding the pigeons at the New York City Public Library himself. And after I had taken the Towers and Flowers picture, I walked around the front of the building and I met Mike, who was actually happily feeding the pigeons that day. I talked with him about an hour and a half as other people were whizzing by, and he just seemed like he was at peace. That was the one thing I really got from Mike. And he told me how he used to play the stock market and stay in fancy hotels until he lost it all and never recovered. Maybe never wanted to. I took this picture because he said, maybe if I let you take my picture, then I'll be famous. So when I took the picture, it's like I knew what I wanted to do. I'm like, okay, I'll give you that wish. I have an exhibit in the world's most famous building. So his photo was displayed in the lobby of the world's most famous building for people to see from all over the world and put on postcards to promote the exhibit around New York City and around the country and even as far as Indonesia. Mike has been seen. And 6 years later, I looked for him for years. 6 years later, I went up to see the Gates exhibit. Does anybody know about the Gates exhibit that was in Central Park? It was, it's a husband and wife artist team. They do major public art, like they wrap islands in cloth and things like that. So they had done this exhibit where they put these archways with these orange drapes hanging all over every trail of Central Park. It was pretty amazing. So I'd gone up to actually photograph that, and here I run into Mike in Bryant Park, 6 years later. And I think this quote from Waking Life really illustrates our relationship. You haven't met yourself yet, but the advantage of meeting others in the meantime is that one of them may present you to yourself. And when one realizes that one is a dream figure in another person's dream, that is self-awareness. So of course, he was that dream figure in my dream. I was a dream figure in his dream, and then I gave him a postcard with his photo on it 6 years later. And I gave him a little money that I had saved for him in case I'd ever see him. He goes, oh great, I'll get a hotel room tonight. And he asked to let me stay with him. And while we were sitting there talking, I took this picture. And again, that lens flare pointing right at the Empire State Building, the center of the record. So what's really interesting about the space that we were sitting on in Bryant Park, that not a lot of people know, when you're sitting there, you're actually sitting on top of one of the world's largest vaults of world history. There's over 40 miles of shelf space under Bryant Park, housing everything from George Washington's diaries to who knows what. So it literally kind of is that memory palace that we were sitting on. And right on 40th and 6th, Nikola Tesla Corner. See the picture that he's looking at, which was these two owls, which was taken right here in Sippo Park, and I did a year-long documentary there. And I think that's kind of a symbol of shared wisdom.